Hello, everyone. We'll get started in a few minutes. Give people some time to roll in. Thank you for attending. My name is Jeff. And we got a fun one today, which is strategies for assemblages. 1 second. There we go. Sorry about that. If you need more information, go to deepblocks.com. Our website has a lot of interesting little tidbits for you, as well as always a big question, how much is it? So pricing is there. If you have more specific questions about pricing, feel free to shoot me an email, myself or Mike. Also, what markets do we cover? Always a big question. And this is a evolving list. Right now, we cover 100 cities with zoning information. So what I do today in the software is pretty much applicable across all those 100 cities. If you scroll down, as you can see I'm doing now, you can see that list. The map itself, which you see here, all the red dots are the cities that we have with zoning. Anything with blue means we have the parcel information, but not necessarily the zoning information. So again, that's on the website. That's deepblocks.com. And just go to cities and that information will be there. We do have tutorials, past webinars about us. Please feel free to check us out and learn more. I'm gonna give everybody about another minute to join in, but I am gonna open up the chat. So if you do have questions, feel free to just jump in. I'm gonna leave my email here. If anyone has more specific questions, would like to get in touch. If you've contacted Mike as well, he usually runs these webinars. Please feel free, myself or him, we're more than happy to help you out and try to get you started on the platform, or if you're an existing customer, anything we can do to help. All right. A few more minutes, let some people roll in, and then I will get started. If there's not, please feel free. Again, you're going to hear this a couple times, but if you do have questions, you're absolutely welcome to ask those here within the chat box. And with that, let's get started. And like you've probably seen on LinkedIn and things like that and other social media outlets, we're promoting kind of these different strategies for assemblages this week to show you a unique way to use the software in different cities throughout the country. So to log into the software is a SaaS product, meaning it works on your desktop or laptop. And all I'm going to do is log in, as you can see here, have my information stored, right? No downloads or anything like that. Basically, anywhere you have internet connection, you're good to go. You can use the software. Software is just going to load for a second. And it brings me to my dashboard page. This page is where I have projects stored, as you can see, right? Some past projects I was working on, and me kind of modeling out these different scenarios. You are allowed a limited amount of projects. You could have 10, you could have 50, you could have 100. It's up to you. You can run different scenarios using the modeler. We're not going to dive super deep into the modeling aspect today. We're going to keep it more on the search side. And a way to think about the software is really there's two main components. One is using the search. So all I'm going to do is drop in, let's say, Miami, a city. You can type in a city, you can type in an address, you can type in a zip code, whatever you're kind of more comfortable with. And then you just select search. You're brought to the new project interface page. And this is where the software brings you to the location that you're interested in, right? So in this case, Miami. And then in turn, there's a few things going on here, as you can see. And just to give you a broad kind of overview, right, is over here on the left are basically my tools to make different changes and or adjustments to my search, right? We have different sliders here. We have different drop-down boxes and different tools, and also a search bar up here in the top left. Everything over here on the right is basically information provided for you by the software. This could range from opportunity zones, right? See them highlighted here throughout the country, right? Not just in the location, but of course across the whole US, and all different types of information relative to what we would have in the location you're searching, right? So that would entail things like, let's say, zoning, one of my go-tos. This is a zoning map, essentially, of the location you're looking, and it's marked for you to give you kind of the feasibility, the accessibility of seeing this in relation not to each other, but what kind of where you're looking. And you'll see how that's part of my practice when searching is a big component, especially if you're familiar with a specific city, or you're very familiar with a specific zoning type that you work with, right? You might only care about T68s here in Miami, or R5s in Austin, Texas, or RF2s in Detroit. So things like that will make your search much more, I would say, faster and more efficient when you're in the software itself. Some other things, I'm not going to go through every single map layer in depth, but a few of the ones that I like to highlight are things like, especially if you're not familiar with a specific city, something like building area ratio, right? Let's say I've come to Miami for the first time and I'm not really familiar. Immediately with a map like this, I can start to understand where the densest properties are that allow for, let's say, a lot of units versus, and this is the east, right? This is the Atlantic out here. Sorry, this is the Bay. South Beach is over here to the right. This is one of the main transportation arteries, 95, 395, and then out here to the west more in the suburb. So as you can see, along the coast, much more high density. And then as we move west, it gets less and less. And that also correlates, right, with the zoning itself, which you can kind of see. So that's one of my go-tos, as well as some demographic information I'd like to pull up. One is median income. So we have this map throughout the whole country, but it also gives you some insight on a census tract level of what people are making in general within these different areas. So each census tract is a different color, right? The red, lower income with the numbers attached to it. I could actually pull up the census tracts as well. You can see there in the black line. And then what that median income is per each of those census tracts. So those are just some high-level tools that you can use to kind of help you with your search. Let's dive in now to actually finding some assemblage opportunities using the search. So all I'm going to do, I'm going to clean this up a little bit. I'm going to keep my zoning map on, as you can see there in the red. And like I said at the top, when you're searching and want to kind of adjust or manipulate your search, your friend over here is going to be on the left, and it's going to be the market scanner. So let's start off with the easy one, right? I'm familiar with building, let's say, T68s, right? It's a specific zoning type here in Miami. I want to see all of those zoning types within my screen. So what I'm going to do here is, you see, it's just a drop down. I'm just scrolling the mouse and I'm looking for the T68s. Let's say T680 for open. And the software will automatically highlight every single parcel that is within my screen size. You can see that here in green, right? So these are all the T680s. And there's about 489 parcels matched. I'm just looking right up here. I'm highlighting it for you, right? So immediately, I've already cut my process of looking at the parcels down considerably versus looking at every single parcel, right, in my screen size. So great. Now let's say you know what, I'm not interested in every single one, but my client only looks for parcels that are, on a smaller scale, like less than, let's say, 15,000 square feet. So the lot size has to be less than 15,000 square feet, and the lot itself has to be zoned to T680. And you can see my search just went down from, I think it was 489, now down to 399, right? You can see them up here, you can see them over here on the west, right by my search. And of course, we can, dive in here and zoom in and look at them as well. The next step, okay, say, now I only have 91 parcels. I zoomed in, right? And I'm interested in some properties in here. I can start to either select them, right? So once you select them, you can see we provide basically 3 types of different information. One is demographic here at the top. So median income, what's the gross rent, as well as the population of the census tract. Whether it's in an opportunity zone or not, it's just a yes or no, but we can also pull up the map here, right? Property information. What's the legal address, the lot size, is it vacant or not? Does it have an existing building on it? And some ownership information as well. Owner name, as well as mailing address and things like that. Zoning limits. So this is the key as far as potential development potential of the property you select, and for assemblages, which we're going to get into, right? These are going to give you, this tab is going to give you all the rules, high level, right? We give you about 10 to 12 of these rules in order for you to get a high level feasibility study of the property itself. So that entails the FAR, number of floors, units allowed, lot coverage, parking ratio, as you can see, and then all the uses allowed, right? Setbacks as well. So that's just some of the basics as far as what the software provides for you and your team, right? You can select different properties, as you can see, and you will see that the property level info changes, right, relative to that property, right? And it doesn't have to be a highlighted property. You can select any parcel that you're interested in, and the software will provide as much information as we have relative to that property, to that selection. So you have your property level info, you have your high level demographics over here on the right, and we have our market scanner tool, right? So we went through a simple one, which was basically the zoning code and the lot size. Let's change it up, right? We've been talking about via LinkedIn and things like that, some high level assembly strategies within different areas of Miami. So what I'd like to do is kind of play that scenario out, which would be, all right, I have my zoning map up. Let me pull up my opportunity zone. Oh, excuse me. My opportunity zones, as we can see here. And let's say I'm interested in units, multifamily units. I have a certain range, right? So as you can see, when I select this toggle on, the software provides a default range, which is 0 to 1,500, right? Quite large. So let's say I'm only interested in building on, on the bigger side, 90 to 400, right? So immediately the software will filter your search, right? So you can see I have 192 parcels selected here, which is great. And now I just want to add one other kind of component of complexity here, which is I want all the vacant land. So if there's an existing building on it, I'm going to put 0 for vacant. And then any building up to 10,000 square feet. Is that 10,000? So again, now my search has changed dramatically once again. It's down to 91 parcels. But if we're looking for potential assembly strategies, we can see areas like right in here, right, within an opportunity zone, right? So let's add that. Obviously, in the tan, that tannish yellow color is the opportunity zones. I can start to look at different areas, maybe down in here, for instance, and over in here, these two especially, where these could be ripe for potential assembly. And now let's play this out, right? let's say we want to understand how many units we can build here. So instead of just selecting one, like I did just now, right, and seeing basically the information I showed you before when we selected a single property, right, we can come down here and say, great, how many units? Wow, it's pretty big, right, 288 just for that single parcel. If you select this button here, it allows you to actually aggregate all the different properties at one time for your feasibility analysis. So I have that one selected, and now let me add this one, this one, this one, and this one, right? So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 properties total. And what the software does automatically for you is it aggregates all that data in one place over here in the property level, property info panel. See that here, your legal addresses, your folio numbers, your ownership information, right? Looks like we have a couple common ones here. Brickell Investments, Miami Pro Arts, Biscayne Arts. But interesting, all the same mailing address, looks like, yep. So looks like one owner, but the key is here within the zoning limits, besides that, is how many potential units I can build, which is 714, quite large, right? I know my FAR is 22, number of floors, and things like that. Now, if we want to play this out and say, all right, let's just model this like very quickly, high level, I'm going to select this button up here, which is preliminary underwriting. And all we want to do is select the property uses that we're interested in. So I'm going to say multifamily with a typical, let's say, retail floor. The software will automatically populate the FAR. You can see that here with the 30.8. I haven't done anything, and then I'm just going to select continue. So once I do that, you'll see that the software will automatically populate a 3D mass model based off of the FAR and, of course, the assemblage, right? So it's basically aggregating all that information into one property, as you can see here. All those properties are selected, right? And we can do a couple of quick things just to get this conforming to the rules themselves. So I know immediately I'm looking down here, right? And I'm kind of moving my mouse around. The units, there's a lot more units. The FAR is good because that's what it populates it on. Floors, it looks like we're okay. I think, let me see here. Floors, yeah, 36 stories. We're at 32 currently. And then some basic financial information, right? Your return on cost. And we're not going to dive into all the specifics of this yet in this webinar, but I'll walk you through basically how to model this to exactly what could potentially be built. So very quickly, we know that the lot coverage has to be 80%. So as you can see, when I change this number, the 80% lot coverage comes into play, right? The building is set back, right, on all sides. And then the units, right? We want to change these units right now. There's 1,386, but we're only allowed 714. You'll see we can do two things. One is just keep them all 2-bedroom and 2-bedroom at about 1,000 square feet, right? Something to keep in mind is everything over here on the left is adjustable essentially by you. All these variables that you see toggles and input buttons, you can change as you see fit to the project you're analyzing. So let's say, you know, hey, it's not going to be only 2 bedrooms. It's going to be, let's just throw out some numbers, 200 studios, 201 bedrooms, 250. So I need what, 64, is it? 64 3-bedrooms. So I just changed my unit mix on the fly. And then of course I can come in here and change the sizes of each of those if I want to as well. I'm not going to get into that today, but you can change the sizes, right? Amenities looks high, you know, maybe it's closer to something like this. Right, and the software will automatically update not only the massing, right, but the financials behind it. You can see we have our rental rates here as well. Within the defined building, sorry, let me go back there. within the adjust assumptions, there's also project cost, right? So we can dive in here. How much are we going to pay on a per square foot basis? Just to give you an idea. This is automatically populated for you right now, but of course you can change if you're looking for maybe a higher end product that you're going to be building, right? I can come in here and say, you know what, something more like this, right? You can see that the return on cost automatically changes for you, the project cost and things like that. All your outputs are over here on your right. So like I said, you can't really change that much over here on the right, but basically anything you've changed here on the left and in the 3D model will be produced, shown here. So here's our basic back of envelope, with most of you I'm sure are familiar with. And you can also export this as a PDF, right? So you're interested in this, maybe you want to send it to yourself, colleague, potential client. Just to give you a quick kind of show of it, you can adjust it as you see fit here, add in a cover image if you'd like, the site maybe, your company logo and palette. You can change the color palette as well. And let me just generate one for you so you can all see. And it's going to be a 4-pager. It's going to have the 3D model. We can adjust this, not here, but within the map itself, to give you a different perspective if you'd like. You can write up a summary, but then there it is, right? The basic zoning information here, your stacking plan, so the adjustments you've made, as well as the demographic trends in the area. This is basically showing you over about a 10-year period, 8-year period, and we're in the midst of updating this information, of the demographic trends within the census tract that the parcel that you selected or the assemblage that you selected is within. And then your return analysis, as you can see here. So really, the idea is to give you very quick insights into whether a project has legs, whether it's worth kind of pursuing on a high level basis, using basically your team in-house to be able to find these properties, find these assemblage opportunities throughout the country, right? Throughout those 100 cities that we provide. Essentially, all the tools I showed you that are available here in Miami are also available there as well. So we can play out this scenario in a lot of different ways, changing the variables over here that we filter by, right? So let's say, you know what, I'm less concerned about the existing building on a property. I still want to stay within my units allowed. So I'm still interested in about 90 units to 400 units. But now I want to look for older products on the property for either redevelopment or obviously demolition. So let's pull up, let's say, you know, give me all the properties that have allowed between 90 and 400 units from 1960 to 19, let's say, 80. And that refines our search by quite a bit, right? Now, instead of, you know, I think we had over 70 or high 60s, we only have 19 or 18 parcels that meet that. So as you can see down here, there's two, one here on the corner, and we can verify that, right? I can say, all right, select it, come over here, look at my property info and say, yep, you're built 1980. Here's the ownership. What can I build on there? And it looks like, you know, 120 units about. Go back to our scanner. So again, you can come in here and adjust like I'm doing here. And now I'm saying, all right, you know, I'm still interested in that 90 to 400 units. I'm interested in a large project. But now I want to change my lot size. I'm only interested in smaller properties because I'm looking for an assemblage, right? So now different opportunities open up, right? Maybe in here, once again, it looks like some of the same ones we were looking at before. I like to pull up my zoning map here so I can see, right? We know it would probably be more difficult with an assemblage that has different types of zoning. So I'm going to look at, let's say this piece in here. This looks interesting. This is another pretty large scale, going to be a pretty large scale. I know that because it's a T636, so high density. Here in Miami, it's towards the water. Let me pull up the opportunity zone. It is in the opportunity zone, so very close to the other one we looked at. We can look at things like what's the income over here, right? I like to pull this up. So about 51,000, right? But it's bordered by 80K down here. And let's see what this is. Yeah, almost 88,000 over here. So maybe a potential up and coming area here, right in between, kind of a lower income section here as well. You can look at things like employment, right? Gives you a percentage of the people in the area employed. Just some general information that I kind of like check out. Here's a cool tool as well. Let's say we want to look at it, right, and verify it. So we can come in here, right, and I'm going to just zoom in, and I'm going to pull up the street view. Check this out. All right, this is like actually in the store. All right, you can kind of play with this a little bit. Let's see, let me pull up another one. Verify these areas. Yeah, there we go. And you can see that it looks like the lots are empty there, which is great. Handy little tool to just kind of, you don't have to go outside the software, right? You don't have to pull up Google Maps. You can just do it right in here. You can also pull up satellite view, which is super handy as well. If you want to see what this looks like, top-down view, satellite, there are those empty lots. Right there, it looks like I can shut off my search results. Yep, there's that empty lot. Looks like some more. That could be the top. That's the top of a building. But these are all empty. So great. Now that I have these, let's run through quickly another assemblage, just so you can see the process unfold. And remember, we're looking at lots less than 15,000 square feet with units allowed between 90 and 400. So I'm going to select my assemblage tool here, and we know that this, and this are empty. Select preliminary underwrite. We can go back. We can do the multifamily just to keep it simple today. Once again, little retail on the bottom. Oh, I didn't think I got into that last time, but I can show you what that looks like as well. So looks like a little skinnier. Let's pull up what we're allowed to do, right? The property info panel is your best friend in your Deepblocks software, excuse me. And I'm just scrolling down here and see how many units allowed, 327. So I just come over here and I do my go-to, right? I know that this has got to be 80%. Again, super high level and quick, just for demonstration purposes. Of course, you can change and name each of these setbacks and put them to what you or your team would like to do. You want to have one setback at 20 feet versus 5 feet. You can absolutely do that. That's just not what we're doing today as far as the webinar is concerned. Come back in here to units, 327, great. Right, I'm going to keep it simple, keep them all 2 bedrooms. Software automatically updates. Let's look at our FAR. We have an FAR of 22, great. And I want to show you 2 things. One is retail. So the retail gives you the ability to, of course, change the square footage of what you would like to see on the property, right? So let's bump that up a little bit. That's the orange component here. Dollar per square foot, how much you're going to potentially charge, right? Expense reimbursement, vacancy. Of course, this is all adjustable by you and your team. Last component, always a big question too, is parking. Yes, you can model it out, relatively simple. I know that here in Miami, it's 1.5 and 3. 1.5 for single family, and then, excuse me, for multifamily, and then 3 for retail. So that's here in the gray. The project automatically updates. You could see that FAR with parking, right, starting, I think that goes beyond our, yes, 22. So we would have to make some adjustments, right? We would either have to bring down the sizes, most likely do something like this. see what that does. That gets us underneath. That's just a quick fix, right? You could change the units like I just did, or change the square footages of the units as well. Super helpful tool to just kind of give you a high-end understanding of the property and what you can or cannot build. Of course, you can run through different scenarios, right? You're interested in, maybe it's not multifamily, but you want to build a hotel or you want to build office. You can absolutely do that. You can absolutely try out all these different feasibility studies as you and your team wish. Condo as well, the financial structure changes. But the tool is really flexible to give you some high-level understanding of what can or cannot be done on the development side of a property or assemblages throughout those 100 cities across the country. If you have any questions, please feel free. I'm going to wrap this up relatively soon. So again, in this chat, you're more than welcome to drop in a note. If there's something more specific that you're interested in, want to learn more about potentially subscribing, just feel free to shoot me a note at jeff@deepblocks.com. Just to show you where all this work goes, like I mentioned at the top, everything we kind of looked at automatically gets saved into your dashboard, right? So this is the last project, the condo that I just showed you. This is the one we modeled earlier before. Of course, we can pull it up again and make adjustments to it. We can copy the project, right? We can share this project with other people on our teams, potential clients as well. Those abilities are all here. You know, let's say you modeled it as a multifamily, you want to duplicate the project, which I'm doing now, and then model it as a, you know, retail, let's say retail hotel space. You can absolutely do that. And again, similar, I would say, setup as far as the scenario is concerned. You can come in here and make all your adjustments. Financials obviously change and go from there. So with that, I'd like to end today. Thank everyone for taking the time to check us out. Again, more information at deepblocks.com. Pricing is available there, as well as the markets we cover. We do this every Thursday, 3 p.m. It's usually myself or Michael. If you're familiar with Mike, he will be back most likely next week running these. So feel free to shoot him a note if you guys have specific questions. If not, we'd love to hear from you, and we're more than happy to help. So please check us out. Take care, everyone, and have a good day. Bye-bye.